Simon Knott here, Principal of BKK Architects, and I'm presenting 13 Union Street in Brunswick, which we also call Dual Station, but that's part of a larger precinct, and I'll explain that to you in a second. This is a project we did with Claire Cousins Architects, who did the apartment interiors, and also Neo Metro were the developers who were very integral to the development. Just like to acknowledge traditional owners, land on which the project is, which is the Wurundjeri people, and also where I'm presenting today. The project is just in the heart of the sort of Brunswick precinct, just off Sydney Road. It's about 5 kilometres from the CBD. It's ideally located, situated. It's about 4 stops on the train. It is 4 stops on the train and about a 20-minute bike ride into the 15-20-minute bike ride, depending on how quickly you go into the city. It makes for a great transport-orientated design. And it's located, here's Berkeley Square here, Sydney Road is in the green, the upfield train line and bike corridor, shared user path runs adjacent to the site. The entire site is shown in green here, and our particular site is the orange bit to the north, and I'll explain that a little bit more in a minute. And then RMIT is up here, RMIT Brunswick Street Campus. Another important part of this is up to the top right here to the north of the site, and these cross-connection corridors are enormously important too. This project was a VicTrack-led competition. There was 6 teams invited to participate. This was surplus land adjacent. Here's Dual Station. It's an 1880s heritage-listed train station. It was in quite a bit of disrepair and disused warehouse buildings to the east of the site. And which had been uninhabited for decades, except by squatters. Our building is here to the north. We master planned the entire site. Integral to it was this issue of the shared user path and its conflict with pedestrians coming into the station proper. And MA Architects did a building to the south. We did the building to the north. And the central part of this was creating this village type atmosphere around that station precinct and the entry into that station. And I'll show you a little bit about that in a minute. There was an enormous amount of community consultation done. Village World did a huge piece prior to, which formed the brief for the project. A lot of it was around safety. It was one of the highest crime rates in Brunswick around this station. It was very unsafe, both at night time and during the day, both perceived and real risks. And what we also did was a whole lot of these mapping exercises, really trying to clear that the community wanted something that was, and so did the developers, something that had a Brunswickness to it. We also went back out to Kapire with another round of community engagement after we'd done the designs. Something that's really important to us is this gradient between public and private space. Where we start here, we're urban designers as well as architects, and we start with this wholly public space and then transition into the sort of semi-public space of the stoop or the veranda or the balcony, a more sort of public but still somewhat private space, private space but still somewhat public of the living spaces, and then the fully private space of the bedroom. And it's the small little interventions that can really demarcate these transitions. This was done, I'm not going to show you the full thing, but done as part of the competition was really designing the buildings from outside in. This starts with the MA building, a cross section through the site, and runs down the bike corridor here. Up to 1,000 bikes per hour go through here at peak hour. It's quite unsafe at times. The transport corridor, enormously important. These sort of slower spaces adjacent to the building. What we did was really look at it as a public space, and how you then design the buildings that then fully activate that space and provide that passive surveillance. So it's designed from the outside in. The outside, the public realm is the main part of engagement, and then we move back into the apartments, and then lastly start to resolve those kind of public spaces. So the balconies are really engaged with that bike corridor, and also the rooftop terraces. And as you move through the space, there's a whole lot of different activation. It's the entry into the station, which was redone, and part of this process was restoring the station building, little private, public pocket parks. We retained a whole lot of big river red gums, and this is our building to the north of the site. And you can see how those commercial spaces start to really become part of that public space, as well as the living spaces and the balconies. And this is what we presented, which was really talking about that ground plane, which was the primary source of design driver for the project, and how we deliver public realm as well as apartment buildings within this space. And that's the Heritage 1880s building. It's got a Victorian heritage listing on it. We did a lot of work with them in how that might then inform the building structures. But the focus today is on the north building. This one here, which is ours. It runs along Union Street, which runs down to RMIT. We get a lot of students running past this, and we did a lot of engagement with them. And this is currently being discussed with them as a postgrad space for the university. It has a loggia space that then comes into the entry here, tons of bike storage, and then a barber shop we pulled into the to the south part of the site. You can see from this that it's only 11-metre frontage, our site. So there's very little opportunity. What we did do was a whole lot of work in trying to minimise service enclosures and disruption to the street, activation. So there's a bit of a service enclosure here, but we've also incorporated some public art into that. And the car park is off Little Gold. It's a really tight little turn into this, and then you come into a car lift that goes down. This is the bike corridor here. There was a lot of work done with the community and bike user groups in how we'd improve that safety into the station, but that's part of the urban design presentation I'll do this afternoon. We go down into the basement, the car lift goes down. There's only 9 car spots per level, 3 levels, 27 car parks for 38 apartments. So it's minimising a car park reliance on the site. The substation is buried. We took an enormous amount of work, and then really decent storage space. This is communal storage. This is apartment storage space for the apartments too. A typical floor level, and you can see the apartments as a desire to sort of separate bedrooms wherever possible. Even in this one that's only 50 square metres, it's the smallest apartment. There's 38 apartments, 21 different types of apartment. We think that's really important to provide that variation. And Neo Metro have a long history of providing this really high quality living spaces, and spaces that can provide dual functions. So this could become a workspace as well, important in the sort of post-pandemic world. And then 3 bedrooms. So there's a whole lot of variety here and really decent outdoor living spaces. Then the rooftop is vegetable gardens, barbecue communal areas, yoga, quiet meditation space, and drying space for clothes. And then there's a PV arrays and services down to the south. The identity of the building is really built upon this robust concrete frame. We did a lot of discussion around sustainability and how we provide adaptable facades. You can see here, this is just infill framing with Colorbond. Neo Metro and we are the same. We don't want to provide, there's no timber on the building. There's nothing that will require maintenance over time. But also this frame is highly adaptable. You can put a new facade on it. You can change the use. You can see here with the bike lanes and how we've started to mitigate those different spaces between the building and the bike lane and the public space, and the warm glow it gets in the afternoon sun. Some of those retained trees on the site. There was a lot of work done with arborists and other people to retain those. Minimisation of plasterboard, in with concrete ceilings, timber floors. Sorry, it's a little bit slow. This expressive loggia space provides a protective zone as an entry into the apartment building. You can see that here, that's the main entrance going back into the apartments. This will be the RMIT space, and public artwork over the service enclosure by Felix Gailey, and then the bike corridor and transport corridor. You can see how this starts to really integrate with those elements.